Hello there, Mad Mike here, and welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be talking about something I missed a couple days ago, which was the trailer for the Netflix prequel series, Dark Crystal. The Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance came out. Um, Now, this is again another time where Netflix is kind of taking the properties, an older property, and bringing a new installment to it. They've done this numerous times, and this is the most recent one with the Dark Crystal, which was a film that came out in 1982. Which was done by the Jim Henson Company, who most people would obviously know from the Muppets and Sesame Street and Ninja Turtles and stuff like that. So this is also a movie that's entirely done with puppets, as the original Dark Crystal was. So what we have is or at least what the trailer shows is they're still using some amount of practical effects. They're still using puppets that look very similar to the original ones from '82. However, it also appears that they're using a good amount of CGI in addition to the practical. So that is kind of interesting when you look at it, because obviously CGI can be used to enhance practical effects to good effect if it's done properly. If not, it looks like a goddamn cartoon. But if the show itself looks as good as what they're making the trailer out to be, then it would probably be pretty interesting to see, just from an aesthetic point of view. Now, as we go into the trailer, they kind of showcase all these characters. They bring you back to the world, which I believe is called Thra or Tha. And again, this is a prequel to the first film, so everything that happened to the first film hasn't happened yet. So this is still the older version of the planet before they destroy the crystal and change everything. So the trailer starts off. We meet our main character again. They don't really give you very many. They don't give you any names or anything. There's just an overlying monologue from various characters about a coming darkness that's going to destroy their world and stuff. So it's laying the basis of the plot down in the trailer, which is fine if you want to do with the major stuff, which is what this does. And there's obviously a lot of visuals. You do see the actual dark crystal, which now is appears to be CGI as opposed to a practical effect. And you visit some of the iconic characters that you remember. I can't remember the Sekel or whatever they are, the vulture face guys from the original, the little Gelfling race that you see, that's the main characters. And they kind of show the creatures of the world as well, and just kind of some of the aesthetics, which is nice. Again, they're all very beautiful looking shots. And the only thing that I kind of question, because again it's cut a little differently, is there are certain scenes where they use uh, CGI in combination with the puppets to make them move. And it does seem like it might be a little clunky just in the looks of it, just because you go from what is very obviously a practical puppet to something doing a bunch of CGI moves and stuff like that. If you don't seam it correctly, it can look very bad. Now, the other thing that I'm kind of curious about, which I'm kind of surprised they didn't do for this, is normally when you do some kind of puppetry or something like that, again, you kind of enhance it a little bit with CGI. So if you're doing that, it's kind of obvious from the trailer that the puppets are still very much puppets, in the way that their mouths move and stuff like that, and the eyes. I'm kind of surprised they didn't try and do something like a deep fake type of thing where where you animated the face, you animated the mouth and the eyes, and any kind of like minor facial movements that would happen with that, because it seems like that would make things a bit more concise. Now, obviously, it would be a bit different from the '82 film, but I think aesthetically it would work better. You can still have all the normal puppet stuff, but just enhance some of the facial features with the CGI. Change a few little things here and there. Again, you can still have the motions of the people with the puppet where they open the mouth and do all that, but just use some CGI on the face, have some markers or something on there so that you can change, some of the stuff on it, like the movement of the mouth, because that's really what kind of just weirded me out a little bit. Is uh, not weirded me out, but kind of just maybe kind of look twice, is the movement of the mouth specifically, because it's just one mouth that opens and closes, and they make sure there's seams and stuff so you can't really tell, but um, it does take away a little bit. It's a little bit distracting, but aside from that, all the visuals looked really good. Um, it appears that the voice cast is doing all right. I don't know how many of the original people they were able to get back, but it does seem to be interesting. So I'll link the trailer in the description below if you guys would like to see it. It's again, this is just kind of something that. It's interesting to see an 80s franchise kind of brought, well, I shouldn't say franchise, an 80s film brought back and kind of turned into something a little bit newer. And sometimes that can fail miserably, and sometimes it can work somewhat if you do certain things with it. And also, I'm not terribly attached to the Dark Crystal as a film. Again, it's one of the ones I saw a very long time ago. I mentioned in a movie spotlight video I did on the movie Crawl, is that in the early 80s you had a lot of these fantasy films that were coming out that ultimately did not do very well. Now, Dark Crystal was not really an exception to that. It was to some extent. It broke even. It made 41 million on a 25 million dollar budget, but it's part of that series of films where you had Legend, you had Crawl, you had Willow, you had there was this kind of weird, just a lot of fantasy films got put out and not a lot of them did well, or most of them did not do well. So, like I said, I'd be interested to see what people's opinions are on this. I think it looks relatively solid. It doesn't look terrible. I'm glad they're going back to the practical effects, and you can tell. And I don't know. This might be interesting. I might watch this series if it catches my eye further down the road. But tell me what you think. And make sure to leave any thoughts you have in the comments. Remember to hit the bell for notifications, subscribe, leave a like on the video, and remember, I live my life free of compromise. Do you?